First, let's pay homage to the lineage Root Guru, to the lineage homage to the Venerable Maung Liao Ming, homage to Master Sakya Cheng Kung, homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa, and homage to Master Dubden Dorji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of the group practice today, the medicine Tathagata, Baisaya Guru of the Eastern Lapis Lazuli realm, and the sunlight, all radiance Bodhisattva, the moonlight, all radiance Bodhisattva, the medicine king Bodhisattva, the supreme medicine Bodhisattva, the 12 medicine generals, Sumu, Tanchen Gatso, Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, all disciples present here and over the internet. And our participating VIPs today are the candidate for the Bellevue City Council, Mrs. Margie Ye. And her husband, Mr. Joydeep Hazra. That's a long name. Mr. Joydeep Hazra. A very long name. Your daughter here too? No, she's not here tonight. And the accountant to Tribhuda Foundation, Dharma Sister Teresa, and a Datin from Malaysia, Miss Li Qing, and her daughter, Miss Li Qi. And from Malaysia, the Datin, Miss Fei, PR Director of True Buddha School, Taiwan Temple, Mr. Dharma Brother Fermi Wang, and a member of the True Buddha School Scholars Group, Miss Liang Caofan. Good evening, everyone. How do you do? Greeting in Cantonese.
Thank you for coming, every people. 我们今天晚上是同修药师的光
The group practice tonight is that of Medicine Tathagata. And Medicine Buddha is in the East. So therefore, many Buddhists believe we have 5 Dhyani Buddhas, the 5 directional Buddhas, Vairocana Buddha at the center, Akshobhya Buddha in the east, Amitabha Buddha in the west, Ratnasambhava Buddha in the south, and Amugha Siddhi Buddha in the north. And Medicine Buddha is from the eastern Lapis Lazuli realm. He's the founder there. And Akshobhya Buddha also has a Pure Land, and his Pure Land is called the Marvelous Joyous Pure Land. So they are the marvelously joyous Pure Land and the Lapis Lazuli realm, and they're both in the east. So in the Buddhist world, they have the opinion that Medicine Buddha and Akshobhya Buddha are the same with different names. So the marvelously joyous Pure Land is also the Pure Land of Medicine Buddha, which is the Lapis Lazuli realm. And in my personal opinion is that Medicine Buddha is Akshobhya Buddha. So the same body but with different names. So, like, say, Seng Yen Lu is Seng Yen Lu, but Living Buddha Lien Seng is also Seng Yen Lu. And the Lotus Light Self-Mastery Buddha is also Seng Yen Lu. And Padma Kumara, or the Lotus Youth, is also Seng Yen Lu. And not only Seng Yen Lu, there are many other Lotus Youths. And we can say there is the main deity, and there are his emanations, and then also members of his retinue. Say, for Medicine Tathagata, so when we chant Namo 36,119,500 Buddhas with the same name and identification of Amitabha, so this 36 trillion is quite shocking. And as for the Lotus Youth or Padma Kumara, they are also emanations of Amitabha Buddha. So there are many who have the same origin. So you should understand this. So when you read the Siddhigarbha Sutra, there is a chapter on the gathering of all emanations. So all the emanation of Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva have arrived at the Tushita heaven to listen to the Dharma teaching of Sakyamuni Buddha. So how many of Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva's emanation? Just read that chapter inside the Siddhigarbha Sutra, and it describes the numerous emanation of Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. And how about Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva? You know, the 2 tears that Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva dropped, one of them became the Tara Bodhisattva, which is the green Tara, and the other drop became white Tara. And how many green Tara? There are 21 Taras from the green Tara, and the 21 Taras also transformed or emanated many more Taras.
这个佛菩萨的化身。
So therefore, typically speaking, the emanation and transformations of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are innumerable. Like in Hinduism,
这个维斯努，
we have the god Vishnu,
他们讲的是维斯努的第9个化身。
and they believe that the ninth reincarnation of Vishnu was Sakyamuni Buddha.
天净天，
So
9个化身就是释迦牟尼。
the ninth emanation of Vishnu was Sakyamuni Buddha. And how many emanations Vishnu had? Many.
大梵天，
And Brahma also had many emanations.
维斯努、希瓦，
So Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva also had many emanations.
所以我们这样子讲起来的话，真的
So saying it this way,
跟言在密教里面呢，
now in Tantrayana,
那么你看汤，
they all have their origin.
曼塔，
Like when you look at the Tanka or Mandala,
不管是沙的曼塔，
whether it is a sand mandala or a mandala in the Tanka, at the top,
就是它
at the topmost is their original ground.
坚守观音，它的本地
Like for Amugapasa Avalokitesvara,
就是北方，
her origin
坚守
was
它
the
的本地就是不空成就，
Amoga Siddhi Buddha of the north.
北方不空成就。那观音本身的化身又更多，
And emanations of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva are even
水球
more.
观音，
They are the wish-fulfilling wheel Avalokitesvara, the horse-headed Avalokitesvara, the dragon-riding Avalokitesvara, the owl-long Avalokitesvara.
观音
There are 7 Avalokitesvara and 32 physical emanations of Guan
所
Yin,
以观世
and many, many more.
化身一样有千百
So how many emanations of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva? There are trillions of
菩
them,
萨本身
innumerable.
这个化身出来，
So
他必须要
that's how Buddhas and Bodhisattvas emanate themselves.
什么样子的人？
They transform to become a body similar to the one they are trying to salvage or deliver.
所以药师如来呢，
So they are all emanations.
我就跟大家讲过了，
So about medicine Tathagata,
药师如来
the most vivid is Grandmaster's vision of the medicine Buddha.
在韩国，
At that time, I was in Korea, in South Korea,
到了庆州，到了
and we went to Cheongju
去礼拜药师琉璃光如来。
to pay homage to the medicine Tathagata.
之中，
And on the way back,
我看见活菩萨都是这样子，
this is how I had
天呢
the visions of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. As soon as I closed my eyes,
面前
all of a sudden, right in front of my eyes,
细细绵绵的那种光
there were rays of
在
lights
闪，一直在闪亮，
that are
我就知道，哎呀，
radiating
菩萨要出现，
or
我
pulsing,
就看了
twinkling.
他就
And I know that a Buddha or a Bodhisattva is appearing. So I
放射
look carefully, and there's a circle of light around it, like rays of light. There's very fine and dense.
光纤里面呢，慢慢它就
And inside the circle of light, gradually,
药师
the
琉璃
Buddha, like medicine Buddha,
我
appeared.
又看到药王菩萨，
And then I also saw the sunlight Bodhisattva, moonlight Bodhisattva,
天道，
Medicine King Buddha and Supreme Medicine Buddha, and following them, the 12 medicine generals. They all appeared inside the circle of light. After I paid homage to Medicine Buddha, on the way back, I had a true vision of the Medicine Buddha. And then I knew that my illness will definitely recover. I will definitely recover from my illness. And sure enough, I did. When I got cellulitis and my leg was swollen, I also had a vision of the Venerable Elder Xu Yun. And he lived during the Qing dynasty. So he lived during that time. And I saw him above the clouds. I was laying in my bed, and I saw his arm, his hand extended all the way from the clouds to my head and blessed me. The clouds are very high in the sky, and yet he extended such a long arm all the way to give me blessings on my head. And I knew then that my cellulitis will recover, because with the blessings of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and the Venerable Elder Xu Yun also had high attainment in his spiritual cultivation. And he reached a high realm. So, because he gave me a blessing, I was at peace, and I knew that I would recover from my illness. And the appearance of Medicine Buddha, I also knew that my illness will be alleviated. So the Venerable Elder Xu Yun had his arm pass through all the clouds, all the way to the Saha world to give me blessing on my head. See how long his arm was. All the way from the clouds to here. So there were many miraculous events that let Grandmaster saw, that let Grandmaster see them. And Grandmaster had an extremely strong faith, unwavering faith. And due to the Medicine Tathagata and the Venerable Elder Xu Yun, who give blessings to Grandmaster, that's why now I'm still able to sit here on the Dharma throne to give Dharma teaching to all of you. So I'm truly grateful to Medicine Tathagata. Things in this world, things in this samsara, you shouldn't be too particular about it, because samsara is full of suffering. One thing is, don't forget that in this world there are many people who are miserable or suffering. Please don't forget that in samsara there are many people who are suffering.
你认为什么最苦啊？
So what is it that gives the most suffering?
这娑婆世界什么最苦？我认为，我个人认为，
In my personal opinion,
老病最苦。
the most suffering is
大家也说，
being old and sick.
这个又要长寿，又要健康。
Lots,
现在祝福人家说
everyone wants to be healthy and live a long life.
还能健康吗？
But if you live a long life, can you be healthy?
老了其实蛮苦，
Because when you're old,
老苦
that's quite a suffering.
老跟病
So
是连
being
在一起
old and being sick
你
are
年纪大
together.
了你就知道，
Once you reach that age, you would know.
随时
When you're young, you will never carry pills around with you.
谁在带那个药盒？
Do you bring your medicine box?
什
No.
么维他命啊？
And when you were young, you don't even take vitamins.
因为你身
But
上
once
随
you
身要带
become
着药盒
old, you would know because you always carry medicine pills and you have to
要吃
take
哪一种药
which pill
餐
at
前
what
要吃哪
time
一种药
and which one to take before meals and which one after meal or which one during meal.
一出门呢，带的哦，你看那皮箱里面，老人家出门
When you
带的皮箱
travel,
里面
See,
全部都是药，
for an old person, they always bring all
维
kinds
他命
of
啊，什么种药
vitamins
带来
and
这么多
medicines.
整个行李都带了一半都是药。
Almost half of their luggage is medicine
病
and
真的是
pills. So therefore,
我有
being
一次
sick
啊
is
住院
truly
我
suffering.
人生一次住院，
All my
人生就
life,
只有那一次
I
住
was
院
only hospitalized
住院的时
once.
候啊，
And when I was in the
这个打着
hospital,
点滴呀
I got an
那
IV
点滴一直在滴着。
and the solution was dropping
你
into
想上1号，啊，就想上1号，
into my body and I had to go to the bathroom.
你就把点滴这样子抓住点滴，
So what
然后
would you
走
do?
出走廊，
Then
走
you have to
走
carry
走到
carry the whole
你一只手
IV with you, one of them holding it,
手还
holding the IV bag,
脱裤子。
and the other hand you have to take off your pants.
我那时候还是穿喇嘛装啊，
And I was wearing my Lama outfit too,
把喇嘛装还要
and I had to
夹住，
hold my Lama skirt like this, otherwise it would fall into the toilet.
讲得好，还要一只手还要脱裤子，
And then the other one hand
一只手
taking
是
off
拿着
the
点滴耶
pants, and the other hand I have to hold the
这样
IV
子
bag.
你看一个老人这样子慢慢吞吞的。
So, as an old man, you have to do it very slowly, all the way to the bathroom, and you had to do it all with difficulty.
点滴回到自己的病
And after it's done, you have to carry the whole IV bag and
刚
rack
刚躺下，
to your bedroom and get on bed. And not long, you feel that you have to go again, and you have to do it again because of the drops, the intravenous liquid fluids keep getting into the body, and you don't move at all. So you have to go again. So you might as well stay there.
你看这个很苦的，现在
See,
还
that's
在
a lot of suffering.
那时候真的是很痛苦，
So even thinking of it now, I
不管
still
怎么样，
feel that was quite miserable.
病
Lots of suffering.
非常苦，而且
So anyone that has been
我看过
severely sick would know.
下来，门打开，
I saw that there was a car stop, and then the door opened, the trunk opened, and there was a wheelchair, and then they put an old person into the wheelchair, and they were in pain with the slight movement. So for the elderlies, there always lots of suffering because they always have illnesses. And once you get hospitalized, you would know what kind of suffering that is, especially if you have lots of tubes into you, or the ICU, or the intravenous of different medicines, different doctors coming, and there are lots of doctors diagnosing or taking care of you. So being sick is truly quite a suffering. Therefore, chanting the Hiking Kuan Yin Sutra is very good. The beginning part of the sutra, from the pure light Buddha to the medicine Buddha, is the beginning part. And the ending part is the medicine king Bodhisattva, the supreme medicine Bodhisattva. The Guan Ming, Guan Xin, Gao Ming, Guan Xin, Kai Ming, Guan Xin, and then the medicine Buddha, the medicine Bodhisattvas, they're all related to the medicine Buddha. And the one that is most impressive to me is that it can eradicate the suffering of the life and death, and to alleviate all kinds of harms and poisons. And I like this eradication of life and death, the suffering of life and death. Of course, after you die, there is no suffering, but at the moment of death, or right before you die, or when you're sick, that's the most suffering. Of course, when you're dying, that's also suffering, but it usually only lasts for a few days. But the suffering before death, so the sutra can eradicate the suffering of life and death, and that is truly marvelous, that you don't have any sufferings before death. That at the moment you die, your soul or your spirit just leave your body and then you just go. That's the best. That's why I always chant the Hiking Kuan Yin Sutra, because it can eradicate the suffering of life and death. And I wish that my death will not have suffering, that it would happen really swiftly. Like Dharma Sister Hanifa's mother, that was really wonderful. She cooked in the morning, she wasn't sick, and she was just slightly dizzy after she finished cooking, and she wanted to visit her friends. And she felt a little dizzy and sat on a chair. As soon as she sat down, and she went, she passed away. And she died just like that. Selamat in Indonesian. Selamat ulang tahun in Indonesian. But selamat sounded like dead. And so she died. And her father too died very quickly. Felt a little dizzy, sat on a chair, and as soon as she sat, she died. And they chanted Hiking Kuan Yin Sutra, and also the Root Guru mantra, Grandmaster's mantra, just these two. So this eradication of the suffering of life and death is truly marvelous. I hope I can give Dharma teaching here and laughing with you, and all of a sudden I just close my eyes and what? Salamat? Is he dead? He doesn't speak anymore? That would be very nice. That's first and foremost kind of death, the best kind of death. We don't wish for anything to be born at a certain place. Like for us spiritual cultivators, of course can choose where or how to be reborn. And when you reach a certain realm, you can also choose how to die, but not for the typical people. Therefore, chanting the Hiking Kuan Yin Sutra has tremendous benefit. It can eradicate the suffering of life and death, and can also remove all obstructions and harms. So chanting the Hiking Avalokitesvara or Kuan Yin Sutra is extremely wonderful, extremely excellent. It's very important. There are many things are the illnesses of the mind, not just the sicknesses of the body, but it's of the mind. So many people suffering mentally, and that's also lots of suffering. About Chinese Valentine. Do you know why the Chinese Valentine's Day is set on the 7th month of the lunar calendar? Because the 7th month of the lunar calendar is the ghost month, because then you can say things that even ghosts will not believe. So if you want to lie to your lover, why do you want to lie? Because you want to please your lover. So that's also suffering, right? Because you cannot tell the truth. You have to say words that even ghosts will not believe. So when lovers talk to each other, are they always truthful? Not necessarily. Sumo is not here today. When I speak to her, frankly speaking, her hearing is truly amazing. My room is in the east and her room is in the west, very far distance. I am on the phone in the east and she could hear it. So her hearing is really incredible. We have our own strengths. My olfactory sense, my smelling is very sensitive. In my bedroom, I could smell what's cooking in the kitchen. And sometimes in the middle of the night, she forgot to turn off the stove, and I could smell that something is still on in the kitchen, because we are both elderly. I am 75 and she's 71. Now she starts to forget, and she forgot to turn off the stove. So in the middle of the night, I woke up and I stumbled into the kitchen and I turned off the stove, and the pot was almost melting. It was all black. It was extremely dangerous. So two elderlies living together, and I relied on my smelling sense. But she has incredible hearing sense, and she would ask me, "Whom are you on the phone on? A master? Which master?" And then I said, "Master Changzi." Oh, Master Changzi, that's okay. But she's always so smart. And she would say, "You're on the phone with your girlfriend. Why are you calling your Master Changzi?" Then I had to make up a story to tell her, words that even ghosts will not believe. But in order to comfort her, you have to say something that sounds perfect in order to pacify her. Changzi, did I ever call you? So that's the suffering of the heart, because you cannot tell the truth.
Tell me the truth. Tell me truth. 告诉我真相。Tell me truth. 告诉我真相。真相也不能讲啊，真相。
You can't even tell the truth. How can you?
说真正的真相是不能讲。
So the real truth you cannot say.
为了和平
In order to be harmonious,
真相是不能讲。
to get along with each other, you cannot say the truth. So there would be suffering of the mind. And there are many more, like jealousy, envy, that's full of suffering. Or the meeting with the hated ones, or separation from the loved ones, or not getting what you wish for. Those are all mentally. You know, that in the ancient time, when your love sickness is quite miserable, you can't eat, you can't sleep, and on the bed you just toss and turn, and then you just become like bones in skin. So love sickness is also full of suffering. So therefore, the human world is like fishes in scanty water. Time passes fast. The life is so, like fish in scanty water. Where is there happiness? Very little bit of happiness, but lots of suffering. Many people ask me, "Grandmaster, what is the real truth? How can I tell you?" Actually, I am also suffering because I cannot tell the truth.
其实我告诉你真相，你还要求更深的真相。
Even when I tell you the truth, you want more. And it's never ending. And you keep asking and asking and asking. So the person asking is also suffering. And my mind is also suffering. So it's best if I just play dumb. So it's okay if you just muddle-headed. That's fine. Just forget it. Then you're not worried, you're not miserable, and your mind is cool and easy. And then you live together in harmony. Then it would last forever. That's not patience and tolerance, because that's also suffering. You just let it go, let it be. Then you don't suffer anymore. If you don't let it go, then you will suffer. So in Buddhism, the most important thing is letting go is liberation. If you don't let go, then you will never be liberated. So most importantly, you should just sweep away all the garbage. Then you already let go, and then you're already liberated. If you can't let go, then you are always tormented and you're always in suffering. So talking about Medicine Buddha, that's what we just talked about. Now we will talk a little bit about Lamde, the path and its fruit. Second, receiving the empowerment of the middling path. Anyone intending on receiving the empowerment of the middling path should first present an offering and prayer, just like for the broad path. Then recite the expansive bell and scepter, bless the cross scepter, allow me to become the Vajra master who attracts all followers to receive the vase empowerment. Recite like Buddha of the past, granting empowerment upon all the bodhisattvas. By this secret empowerment, I empower your mind continuum to receive the secret empowerment. Recite the celestial maiden abiding in bliss, and all forms of joyous maidens are upheld by the bodhisattvas to practice the grand offering, to receive the wisdom empowerment. Lastly, recite, it's the most profound and mysterious wisdom, like the Vajra cosmos, abandoning the dust to achieve the ultimate serenity. Tao is also her father, to receive the fourth empowerment. To receive an empowerment, one needs to set up the corresponding altar and be mindful of the disgrace that needs to be purified. So the words here are not very complex, so you should understand it. So the empowerment of the broad path means that it is the common or the general empowerments. And then this one is the middling kind of empowerment. So we can say from the universal empowerments or the general empowerment to be summarized or to become smaller. And then the third kind is the quintessential path. And I've said it before, the wisdom, the broad or expansive wisdom is like the Maha Prajna Paramita Sutra. And For the crucial empowerment, that would be the same
中道的
like the Diamond Sutra, which is the middling
列
path.
道观，什么叫广中列？
And then the essence
心经就是
path, that's like the Heart Sutra,
全部在里面
the quintessence of all of it. That's the quintessential path.
什么是广道观？什么是广？
So that's how my guru explained it to me. So what is the broad or expansive, middling, and
中
quintessence?
道的观，
So there are empowerments for the broad path, middling path, and quintessential path.
精华跟中等。我们可以举一个例子来讲，
So we can give an example. Milk is like the broad or expansive one,
优格
and yogurt is the middling
中
one,
等的，cheese
and cheese
就是
is the quintessence,
烈烈，
the quintessential one.
由牛奶
From milk,
牛奶的精华就变成这个优格，
we make yogurt,
就变成
and then so the essence of milk become yogurt, and the essence of yogurt becomes cheese. So now you understand about the broad path, the middling path, and the essential path.
这个灌顶。
So I have to give this analogy.
中道的灌顶，也有
There are empowerments for all these different paths.
讲起来啰里啰嗦的，这个
They're just so long-winded, and
像那个圆满上师讲，就是最啰嗦的一本东西。
so like Master Lianman said that Lamdi is the most wordy and long-winded
这
book.
样的名词非常的多。
They use so many different
你就
terms.
跟我讲说，广大的就是牛奶就好，
You can just say that the broth
中道
is
的
like milk,
就是把它的
and the
精
middling
再收缩了，
is like
就变成优
to
果嘛。
condense it to become
再
yogurt,
把它再精
and then you condense it more to become cheese.
就是这样子，这么简单。
So it's so simple like that.
它的灌顶的仪轨，当然有广
And
大
then
的
of course there are the different procedures for the
列道的是
the broad, middling, and the
但事
essential.
实上同样都是牛奶啊，
But they're all milk, right? They all
就
come
是
from
从牛奶
milk.
里面一直把它下来的这样子，受中道灌，
So that's how it
另外呢受列道
came from. So receiving the empowerment of the middling path, and then receiving the empowerment of the quintessential path.
若欲领受列道灌者，依菩提
If one wishes to receive the empowerment of the quintessential path,
先行
is
供养，祈请如前。
like the order, you have to first make an offering to the main deity, and
无主尊或易金刚，以五轮处灌顶，施得四种灌，圣解清净是。
then you receive 4 kinds of empowerments
是同
that
以
to
以
purify
下大
4
自在
kinds
大
of
水
faults or disgraces.
莲花金刚之秘密主张，
So
广
the
中
Brahma
内三种
Pacha.
灌顶，虽说无论领受何种戒脱，然祖
So
师
3 kinds of
有为
empowerments of the
作
broad, middling, and
广道
essential ones.
灌顶之传统，此道为
And the
灌顶
lineage
之道
gurus will
因
grant
为
the
灌顶之和不学
tradition,
不觉而得，若未得因为灌顶之和，则不许受；若得因灌，则仅修道位是作之灌，已能成佛。
What's written here is the same as what I said. So 3 kinds of empowerments are actually the broad, middling, and the essence. So from the general one to the more condensed and then even more condensed to the quintessence. 3 types of empowerments. Actually, there are different meanings in terms of the empowerment, and in Buddhism there are different meanings. In South Korea, so this gesture means, which we often say, it's Jumi. It's a hand gesture. This is Jumi. So in South Korea, this means I love you. In French, this hand gesture means do you want a date? Do you want a date? It's the same gesture. In China, this gesture means
give me money.
Give me some money.
Give me money. Give me money. 在中国，这个手势是 give me money。在台湾，这个手势是
And in Taiwan, is when you cannot open a plastic bag, you do this.
把它搓一下，搓一下，它就会开。
So this is to open a plastic bag.
你看不同。
So
是不一样的。
it's different.
牛奶不等于优果。
So milk is not the same as yogurt, and yogurt is not the same as cheese.
在道国里面，
in Lamde.
8月8号是父亲节，是吧？
So August 8th is the Father's Day, Chinese Father's Day.
言语上的一种笑话。
This is a joke about
代要父亲，
Chinese
注
word.
册要父亲，财
Yeah.
钱要父亲，
So pay the bill in Chinese sounds like
保
father.
险费要父亲，
Yeah.
用钱要父
This
亲，
will not be
父
meaningful.
亲节大餐也要父亲，这个就是父亲节的由来。祝福大家父亲节快乐。
This is only meaningful in Chinese.
每一件事情都是有因果的。
Everything has its cause and effect.
其实真的，人生很苦哎。
Really, life is full of suffering. You have to pay your bills for everything,
不够多，
and you don't earn enough money,
人生就没有什么意思。
then
不付也不
that's
行，
quite
不付
meaningless.
清也不行。
So if you don't pay your bills, that's also not
这就
acceptable.
这就是苦的根源。
So that's the source of suffering.
娑婆世界非常的苦，
And because samsara is lots of suffering, in order to leave behind suffering, to gain happiness, you study Buddhism.
其实
You
在
practice
家里
Buddhism.
吹冷气真的很不舒服。
Actually,
不信的
having aircon at home is quite
24小时
uncomfortable. If you don't believe it, then turn it on for 24 hours. And then a month later,
你就知道
the bill comes, and then you would know where the discomfort comes from.
是啊，你知道师尊刚来美国的时候啊，
Really, when Grandmaster just got to America,
西雅图的冬天非常的冷，
the winter in Seattle was extremely cold.
我跟师母跟2个小孩，跑格拉西线，
Simu and I and the 2 kids always went to the garage sales.
车库摆在车库卖的东西，
So they sell things in the garages or yard
都
sale.
很便宜，一条毛
Everything is cheap, $1 for a blanket. And we got several of them. And like Simu had 4, I had 4 blankets.
咖啡色的那一种毛毯，
The coffee colored blankets.
家里每
So 4 blankets. And we always have the blankets on us at home.
他讲4年，就既然有
She
4
said 4 years.
年，
We never turned on the heater for 4 years.
在西雅
We never turned on the heater in the winter in Seattle. Maybe we were the only one.
有客人来了，他们当初把大衣都脱下来。
When we had guests, first they took off their coat when they got into our house. And when they got in, they took their coat and wore them back. It was so cold. And they wanted one more.
因为你知道 heater 很贵，那时候为了省钱，
Because
不能开 heater 的。
the heating bill was quite expensive, so in order to save money, we did not turn on any heater.
我们出外旅行的时候，要把钱花在吃的上面。
When we are traveling,
上面
we should spend our money on food and not on
超
shopping,
重要加钱。
because you have to pay when your luggage is overweight. But the person doesn't have to pay when he becomes overweight.
这个讲的虽然有道理啊，但是还是不要。
Although it makes sense, we shouldn't do that. We should
什么事
be
情
in balance.
平均就是好，
When everything is in balance, that's good.
平均一点。
Just be natural.
我觉得我们学习佛法有一点非常重要，有一点非常。
In our Buddhist studies, there's one thing that's important.
在不管在哪一方面，就是
In any aspect,
我们要扫除自己本身心中的垃圾。
we should clean our own garbage,
因为在佛教，他讲轮回，佛教是讲轮回，
because in Buddhism we talk about
佛
cycle,
教也讲
reincarnation, and we also talk about karmic retribution, cause and effect. So we talk about reincarnation. So the karma that you have accumulated during the past lives have to be
过去式的也
cleansed
除掉，
and purged away.
只要把业
The karma that you created in this life and in past lives
就能够清
have to be eradicated. Once it's eradicated, then you become purified. Once you're purified, you're guaranteed to go to the Pure Land.
意思就是说，把
So the meaning of an empowerment is to make the Dharma flow to enter into your body and to sweep away all your garbage.
真正的灌顶，
So that's the true meaning of an
把你
empowerment.
的业障，把你的身
is to have the Dharma flow to enter into you and to eradicate or to sweep away all of your garbage from this life and all past lives. So you don't want to keep all the garbage inside you, because that would create more suffering. If you can take the Saha world very lightly and you can sweep away the garbage of your mind, then naturally you would emit light. Otherwise, the karma will cover you and the garbage will contaminate you. Then it's impossible for you to shine your own light. So this is a very important point of Buddhism. So eradicate your own karma, don't create any more karma, and to cleanse all the improper thoughts, and to take everything very lightly, and to live naturally and just ordinarily. So that's the goal of studying Buddhism, is to purify your body and your mind, and to purify your speech. This is the most important. Om Mani Padme Hum.